Hello everyone! Don't forget to subscribe, comment and like for the continuation of the videos. XOXO! Hello everyone! Welcome to Royal Residence series. First one, Buckingham Palace. Buckingham Palace has served as the official London residence of the UK's sovereign since 1837 and today is the administrative headquarters of the monarch. Although in use for the many official events and reception held by the king, the staterooms at Buckingham Palace are open to visitors every summer. Buckingham Palace has 1,775 rooms. These include 19 staterooms, 52 royal and guest bedrooms, 188 staff bedrooms, 92 office, and 78 bathrooms. In measurements, the building is 108 meters long across the front, 120 meters deep, including the central quadrangle, and 22 meters high. Today, Buckingham Palace is very much a working building and the centerpiece of the UK's constitutional monarchy, serving as the venue for many royal events and ceremonies, from entertaining foreign heads of states to celebrating achievements and investitures and receptions. More than 50,000 people visit the palace each year as guests to state banquets, lunches, dinners, reception, and garden parties. His Majesty also hosts weekly audiences with the Prime Minister and receives newly appointed foreign ambassadors at Buckingham Palace. Receptions are held at the palace throughout the year to recognize the work of industry, government, charities, sports, the Commonwealth, and many more areas of life. Buckingham Palace is often a focal point for significant national celebration and commemoration. In 2002, a music concert was staged in the gardens of Buckingham Palace to mark Queen Elizabeth II's Golden Jubilee, which included an unforgettable performance of God Save the Queen by Brian May from the roof of the palace, and at Her Majesty Diamond Jubilee celebration in 2012, members of the public were invited to have a special picnic in the Buckingham Palace garden. To mark the Queen's Platinum Jubilee in 2022, there was a special party at the palace, which included a spectacular drone show. The balcony of Buckingham Palace is one of the most famous in the world. The first recorded royal balcony appearance took place in 1851, when Queen Victoria stepped onto it during celebration for the opening of the Great Exhibition. Since then, royal balcony appearances have marked many occasions from VE Day in 1945 to jubilees, Trooping the Color, and an extraordinary flypast by 100 aeroplanes to mark the RAF's centenary in 2018. Whilst Buckingham Palace is seen as the administrative hub of the monarchy, it's also very much a family home, in addition to holding the Queen's Gallery and the Royal Muse. Queen Elizabeth II gave birth to Prince Charles and Prince Andrew at the palace, and to this day, notice of royal births and deaths are still attached to the front railings for members of the public to read. The christening of the King, the Princess Royal, the Duke of York, and the Prince of Wales took place in the music room, and many royal weddings have been celebrated at Buckingham Palace, most recently the Prince and Princess of Wales. The office of those who support the day-to-day activities and duties of the King and the Queen, their immediate family, such as the Private Secretary's Office and the Privy Purse, the Treasurer's Office, are located at the Buckingham Palace. Did you know? The site where Buckingham Palace now stands was originally a mulberry garden planted by King James I to rear silkworms. Unfortunately, he chose the wrong kind of mulberry bush, and silk production never took off in Britain. History of Buckingham Palace. George III bought Buckingham House in 1761 for his wife, Queen Charlotte, to use as a comfortable family home close to St. James's Palace, where many court functions were held. Buckingham House became known as the Queen's House, and 14 of George III's 15 children were born there. George IV, on his occasion in 1820, decided to reconstruct the house into a pied-à-terre, using it for the same purpose as his father George III. As work progressed, and as late as the end of 1826, the king had a change of heart. With the assistance of his architect, John Nash, he set about transforming the house into a palace. Parliament agreed to a budget for £150,000, but the king pressed for £450,000 as a more realistic figure. Nash retained the main block, but doubled its size by adding a new series of rooms on the garden side facing west. Faced with Milo, Badstone, the external style reflected the French neoclassical influence favored by George III. The remodeled rooms are the state and semi-state rooms, which remain virtually unchanged since Nash's time. The north and south wings of Buckingham House were demolished and rebuilt on a larger scale, with a triumphal arch, the Marble Arch, as the centerpiece of an enlarged courtyard to commemorate the British victories at Trafalgar and Waterloo. By 1829, the costs had escalated to nearly £500,000. Nash's extravagance cost him his job, and on the death of George III in 1830, his younger brother William III took on Edward's blower to finish the work. The king never moved into the palace. Indeed, when the House of Parliament were destroyed by fire in 1834, the king offered the palace as a new home for Parliament, but the offer was declined. Queen Victoria was the first sovereign to take up residence in July 1837, and in June 1838 she was the first British sovereign to leave from Buckingham Palace for a coronation. Her marriage to Prince Albert in 1840 soon showed up the palace's shortcomings. A serious problem for the newly married couple was the absence of any nurseries and too few bedrooms for visitors. The only solution was to move the Marble Arch. It now stands at the northeast corner of Hyde Park, and build a fourth wing, thereby creating a quadrangle. The cost of the new wing was largely covered by the sale of George IV's Royal Pavilion at Brighton. Blair added an attic floor to the main block of the palace and decorated it externally with marble friezes originally intended for Nash's Marble Arch. The work was completed in 1847. By the turn of the century, the soft French stone used in Blair's east front was showing signs of deterioration, largely due to London's notorious soot, and required replacing. In 1920, the decision was taken to reface the facade. Sir Aston Webb, with a number of large public buildings to his credit, was commissioned to create a new design. Webb chose Portland stone, which took 12 months to prepare before building work could begin. When work did start, it took 13 weeks to complete the facing, a process that included removing the old stonework. The present forecast of the palace, where changing the guard take place, was formed in 1911 as part of the Victoria Memorial Scheme. The gateway railings were also completed in 1911. The North Central Gate is now the everyday entrance to the palace, whilst the Central Gate is used for state occasion and the departure of the guard after changing the guards. The work was completed just before the outbreak of the First World War in 1940. Visiting Buckingham Palace. Buckingham Palace is open to the public during the summer months and for limited members of the tours in December, January, and Easter each year. Find out more about visiting the palace on the Royal Collection Trust website. Thank you for watching. See you!